What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be comparing 3.75-inch Revenge of the Sith Anakin figures. So yeah, in 2025 we finally got an updated ROTS Anakin, and that is seen on the very far right. But you know, we were kind of in a drought. The last figure we had gotten was the one next to him, which is the 2013 vintage collection Anakin, or Darth Vader. So I know some packages called him Anakin, some call him Darth Vader. I always call him Anakin for the sake of the video, but yeah, and since then we had not gotten a like full articulation 3.75-inch Revenge of the Sith Anakin. I think there might have been like a 5 POA one somewhere in between, but yeah, so it was a really long time. And so I figured we would just go back down memory lane, look at some of his earlier figures. These are not all my Revenge of the Sith Anakins that I have, but these are like the, I guess, like ones that kind of stand out where like a big change was made from figure to figure. So let's just go ahead and start with the first one, which is the Slash and Attack Anakin. One of the first Anakins to be made. I think this one came out, or one of the first Revenge of the Sith Anakins at least. I believe that he came out in 2005 maybe? I think he came out the year that the movie came out. But yeah, this one's really nostalgic to me because it was at my grandma's house and I'd always just go over and play with it. The cool thing about it is it's not very articulated. You know, this figure is 20 years old, but what they did was you can squeeze his legs together like that, and then his body moves and he like attacks. Like you can actually like make him move, which actually, if you think about it, that is a genius idea, because then you don't have to manually move his lightsaber if you're having him fight somebody. So actually, I love that for that reason. But yeah, and then if you don't want to have him fight, you can, you know, obviously put his hands down or whatever. I think he might have came with an interchangeable hand. I don't know though. Honestly, for the longest time, this hand with the lightsaber was lost because you can remove it. So if you can remove it, I'm guessing you could have just given him a normal hand. But I ended up finding the lightsaber in the hand, so he's together again. But yeah, you can like move his arms out and stuff, you know. The proportions are a little crazy, but overall, you know, it's not a bad Anakin. The robes were very, very dark. Like there's not too much of a difference in color from this part of the robe to his arms, which obviously there should be. It's plastic all around, you know. You got plastic skirt as well. If you look under it, I always thought it was funny, the big brown piece there, you know, it's like hiding the contraption that makes him move. And then as for the head, I never thought that this head was horrible. Especially for it being an early rendition of a ROTS Anakin. It's kind of funny because it's almost like we kind of got worse as time went on, but one thing I do love about this character, or this figure, is his hair. The hair color is perfect. I mean, honestly, out of all these guys, this one has the best hair color. It has the brown with the like hints of blonde that Anakin has, and it's perfect how they were able to kind of get that together, because in my most recent video where I reviewed the new Anakin, I talked about how if they could just like put hints of brown in there, it would just make it look better, and this one really does convey that well. So it's funny how, you know, we kind of they got it right once and never really did it again. But yeah, as you can see, you know, his scars were more red, like he has this one on his cheek there that's really red, and then we have his eye scar, which is really red as well. But yeah, overall, not a bad figure at all, and I actually do really like this one, even though it is, you know, a lot older. Not bad at all. And usually he'll, okay, there we go. He had a moment trying to get him to stand there. The next one we have is probably one of my favorite figures in my whole collection, mainly just for nostalgia purposes. I want to say that this one's like a Legacy Collection release, or the I forget what it's called, but whenever they were released in like the blue packaging, that like some Clone Wars figures were also released in that same style packaging. I forget, but he came out around, I don't know, maybe 2008 to 2011 era. That's kind of when this style figure had its run, because there were multiple releases of it, and I do have another release of it, just where the head is a little bit changed. But they basically used this formula for a couple years to make some ROTS Anakins. And yeah, I had this exact figure whenever I was little, and it was my favorite toy I had. I loved it. I played with it all the time. And yeah, you know, it was a pretty big leap up from what we had been having with Anakins, where, you know, you got all this articulation all of a sudden, you know, his arms can go out and they'll stay. And they also, this is also at a time where they were doing the swivel joints, which I like. I know a lot of people really don't like the swivel joints. I think that it's an interesting way, or you know, it's definitely an interesting design, but it makes it look more seamless, and you're still able to get a lot of movement out of it. Honestly, maybe even more movement that you couldn't have gotten with pins. Anyways, yeah, he can usually move his torso, but I haven't moved mine for a while. He's been on display, so yeah, big upgrade in terms of the color differentiation between the leather and the actual robe. This is black, this is brown. It also looks like he's like, I always thought that this one looked like he had been fighting for a while, so he kind of looks sweaty, where it's like kind of drooping down a little bit. But then the leather robe goes down, you know, it continues on. I do appreciate the color in the belt too. I like that they kind of give the belt that extra bit of detail on like the pouches and stuff. And then he does have a really good, like, high quality material cloth underneath as well. And then his boots, also he's kind of bow-legged, and his legs are very widely stanced, so that's interesting. As for his face, not horrible, but also like, it's very intense. Like, the scar is intense, the eyes are intense, the eyebrows, you know. And then this is one of the ones where the hair starts too far back to where his forehead is like massive looking. Like, if you look at it from that angle, it looks a little big. Now, this is not as bad as the other one that I have, that I did end up fixing up just because of how bad the forehead was. This is not horrible, but it's just something they kind of did. And as for the hair on this one, they gave him a brown base with like blonde streaks in it, which is not horrible. You know, I'm glad that they gave it the blonde detail, because it just would have looked a little off if it was just brown. The other release is just brown, and it does look kind of nothing like Hayden Christensen. But yeah, for nostalgia reasons, this one is definitely one of the faves for me. Definitely one of my favorites in my collection. Honestly, I would say that he's my most favorite action figure in 3.75 inch. Just, again, for nostalgia reasons. So that was around, like I said, 2008, 2011 era. And then 2013, whenever Hasbro created the vintage collection, they decided to give Revenge of the Sith Anakin one more go. And it'd be their last go at him for a long, long time. And that is the 2013 vintage collection Anakin. This one, guys, I probably wouldn't have even got my hands on it, because it usually is a very expensive figure. I don't know how this new one has affected the pricings, but he used to be really expensive, especially if he was in his box, but obviously this one's not. I got him for like 13 bucks at a toy store, so I was like, okay, that's a good deal for this figure, I'll get it. Now, I always keep the robe on it, and there's a reason. A, it makes it look more like whenever he turns to the dark side, but B, if we just go ahead and take this robe off here, that's unfortunately the reality that we had to live with up until now. You know, I don't know who okayed this. I don't know who signed off at Hasbro, for this to be okay, but this was not right. This was a war crime to humanity. And, you know, I feel like as the fans, we all kind of deserve an apology from Hasbro for this, because what is that face and hair? No. Why does it, like, he looks like he... I remember hearing people say that he looked like Michael Jackson. Like, you know how Michael Jackson had, like, a wig. It looks like a wig. On top of that, the face looks absolutely nothing like Anakin or Hayden. Let's see if we can, is it focusing? It is truly tragic. And the forehead too, like if you look at the forehead, it's so big. No hate to big foreheads too, but it doesn't even look like natural, you know? They did give him the Sith, like, red, yellow eyes. There's a very faint scar. But the hair was so bad. He doesn't look bad from the back. But even then, like, the hair was too dark. And it was just a bad figure. It's a bad figure. See, what people did like, though, was the arms are now double jointed. It's the same torso as it was from this one and other releases, but the arms, but now that I'm looking at, these arms are long. Like, the proportions just look off. Yeah. And then same thing with the, like, the rubber leather piece. On the back here, though, they, like, go out wider, and then it makes him look like he has a dress on, because the skirt is very long as well. And then, yeah, his legs are also kind of bowed as well. So this one is absolutely trash. Like I said, put the robe on it. It's not horrible, especially if you, like, cover, like, almost all the figure up. Then it's not bad, you know? But, guys, now you'll understand, you know, if you didn't understand already, why it is such a big deal that we have this guy. Because after having gone through all those figures, look at this one and tell me it's not the best one. I mean, it just is. This figure takes everything wrong with the other ones and just makes it right in one go. And it is so amazing. The face looks like Hayden the most out of all these guys. Now this technically also is, like, right whenever he turns into Darth Vader, so... You know, think like he's fighting on Mustafar with Obi-Wan in this moment. The hair is perfect. You know, it's funny. Let's do a side-by-side comparison. How are you going to try to tell me that these are supposed to represent the same character? How are you going to try to tell me that this is supposed to be the same thing as this? It is insane. How does that happen? How did this get through? How did Hasbro okay that? Let's go ahead and just take another look. Let's do a comparison of these two. Like I said, I don't hate this one for nostalgia purposes, but again, just not good. This is so much better. Like, look at that, and then look at that. This one's also very pale, I'm noticing. Very, very pale. Now, honestly, what I would probably say is the best comparison, where they're kind of more evenly matched, is this one and this one. Because at least this, like, they kind of knew what they were going for, you know? And obviously, it was 20 years ago. They didn't have the tools they have now, but, like, I mean, that's better than whatever the crap this was. What is that? Guys, okay. Anyways, that's why I'm so happy about this new release. I also, and I didn't know how to explain this in my video, but I noticed it. He's also a lot more just, like, not slimmed down, but just proportionate. And I think I did mention it in the video, but, like, look at his proportions, you know? He's not super bow-legged like this one. His arms come down normally, you know. His torso is the correct length. His legs are the correct length. Whereas this one's kind of just all over the place. You know, he doesn't stand normally. This one stands very normally. And then the same can be said with this one as well. Very bow-legged. The arms, I feel like, sit better. But, again, I just like how better proportioned it is. Another thing is the colors of the robes. I think they got down a lot better than these ones. Especially this one. I feel like it was a little bit too bright of a brown. It's kind of, yeah, it's not even really a brown that he has underneath his leather. It's like his robes are kind of more of a, I don't even know how to describe that color. But yeah, guys, that basically will do it. I mean, obviously, I do love all these figures because they are Anakin Skywalker. But for him being the chosen one and one of the main characters in Star Wars, we have had a tough run, you know, getting to this point. It took many years, many decades actually. It took 2 decades, but we finally that's actually crazy. It took 2 decades to get to a actual good Revenge of the Sith Anakin. But hey, we made it, and I think that yeah, I think that these are all good figures, but I'm very happy with the new one. And if you don't even have an Anakin figure, which I bet you a lot of people don't even have a 3.75 inch Anakin figure if you're into collecting 3.75 inch figures, because if you just started getting into the wave within the past 10 years, you might have never been able to pick up one. So yeah, definitely a cool way to get one, and I definitely recommend it. But anyways, guys, if you did enjoy the video, make sure to hit like, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.